I hear that.
It's good.
Hello, folks. Good Monday morning to all of you. If you're looking at it on a replay eventually, or good Monday afternoon, however that works, or later in the week.
Yep.
I'm Joe Wesley saying hi to you, to the group. Tommy gives his wave out.
Good morning, everyone.
For
That's all I
those,
got today. It's a wave. There you go.
we were just talking, Tommy and I. We start a little bit early deliberately because we want to. This is look spontaneous. We're not doing any rehearsals on that. We were just saying rather than even have preconceived topics, let's. We won't say wing it, but what we do want to show, Tommy, what Tommy wants to show is that anybody can be a confident public speaker. And I'm saying you got to be born that way. If you're born like myself as a shy introvert, and I admire those people in awestruck wonder how good they're doing up there. Tommy says anybody can do it, and there's good reason why you would want to do it. He states. So here we are sparring back and forth.
Yeah.
A few
You're like the Lady Gaga of public speaking.
Really?
You were born that way.
Okay, see the
Go
guys.
ahead.
It's sad, folks. He's already sucking up to me. We haven't even gotten to the ring yet, sparring at each other. But hey, this is the way it's going. I'm loving it. Anyway, that being said, some housekeeping chores again. If you're watching us through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and YouTube, if you want to leave comment, you have to be signed in, and we hope you do, because I'd love to hear from you. Your comments, your suggestions. If you don't comment with us, please feel free to share it with other people because we want it to be relevant, meaningful, and enjoyable. We might even do a topic once why Tommy and I chose to work together. We both have a clear sense of giving back to people. We both enjoy humor. He's got a quick mind. He's kind of misdirected with this public speaking stuff, I
Yeah.
think. But he's got a quick mind. He's sharp. And so I'm still not buying this stuff.
No.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about the issue of Tommy always talks about presence. And to me, on stage, as opposed to just showing up. That being said, I kind of get the sense of I'm acting outside my usual style, like, hiya, 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 let's get this thing going. And I'm all over the place, like having, random actions. But so I'm going to ask Tommy, could you give us this sense of how do you, and even then, if I'm not necessarily an outgoing, an extrovert, my presence is, hi folks, how are you doing? Let's talk about this. So Tommy, where do we go on this? What have you got to say on that?
Well, first of all, you mentioned that the reason we got together, we thought it would be enjoyable. So we'll knock that one out. That's I have no idea what that means. But
I'm going to interrupt Bob. Mitchell gives us a shout out. Hey guys, happy Monday, Bobby. Bobby, maybe that's what his wife calls him in private. Hey Bob, thank you very
Bobby.
much.
Tell him Monday is capitalized.
So I'm sorry for interrupting, Tommy. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Let's get it rolling. Life is a stage, right? Life is a stage, and we're all just players in it, right? So when you think about it, you notice throughout your life that even in school when you're a young kid, there's always that 1, 2, 3 kids in the class who stand out amongst the other. And usually when you're younger, it's because of bad behavior. Kids who usually stand out are kids who are doing things because
I'm going to interrupt. Excuse me, folks. This is Tommy's talking from personal experience on this one, so please listen carefully. Go ahead, Tommy. I didn't mean to interrupt.
well, you stand out, and the kids are usually the kids who stand out in class because they're looking to stand out. They want to be noticed. They misbehave. They get called out by the teacher. They get sent to the principal's office. So it starts young. But when it comes down to business, the person who sits there quietly, if you're a CPA, right, for instance, and you want to stay quiet and you want to do that thing and your mind is analytical and you just focus on the analytics of things. Do you hear a buzz, Joe?
I do. I think that's my fan on my laptop. I'm sorry. It's working very hard to keep up to you, Tommy.
Oh, yeah. Very good. See, if anybody's benefiting from our get-together, it's you, my friend. You're welcome. So with that being said, when you come into the business world, you're a CPA and you're an introvert and you're quiet and you're data-driven and you're analytical, that's fine. Right up until the point that you become the face of the business. The best way to explain that being is you need to stand out. If you need to get business, you need to be good at who you are, and you need to be good at what you do. But how do you get your message out there? It's okay to say I'm an introvert and I don't like this. Sometimes we have to do things we don't like to get the results that we want. We have
Okay.
to create a whole new being. And literally, there's many people who can show up at a networking event, do what they need to do, and then go back to the world and be an introvert.
I hear
It's,
that, but part of my
yep,
concern is that I'm going to look silly. Am I becoming a caricature? By the way, folks, I try to learn one new word per week. My word of the week is caricature. It's more than
that's a
two
big one.
syllables. Thank you, Tommy. So I think you might appreciate that. But that would heighten my anxiety. That am I overperforming? Am I too much over the top on what I'm trying to say here?
Wow. Interesting point. So I'll take it. I just wrote a blog, and I put it up last week, and it was can you overuse? Can you be overzealous with your gestures, with your expressions?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great point. And the answer is yes. Your job is not to go out and be silly. If you're a clown, or you can go out and be silly and get away with it.
Right.
But, if you're a CPA, you can have a personality. You can bring yourself out, bring the best of you out, or anybody, IT people, whatever it might be. Bring the best of you out, step up a notch, be seen, be heard. It's the only way. Think about it. There's only people hire spokespeople because they don't want to do this, right, for their website and all that. But there's nobody. Everybody wants to work with people they know, like, and trust.
Right.
So, if you're using a spokesperson, people aren't going to get to know you and who you are and what you do. So, yeah, it gets a little bit nerve-wracking, but you don't have to be overzealous. You just need to go in and work on the messenger and say to yourself, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to sit up, I'm going to raise my voice a little bit, and I'm going to deliver my message. And I'd like to say it this way, in a professional manner. Right.
Well, see, that's the key phrase. What's professional?
Right.
What comes to my mind is the challenge. How do I become more functional in my delivery without becoming dysfunctional because of it?
Right.
So, having asked that, even now, particularly with this Zoom stuff and virtual stuff, I'm reading things like you even need to be more interactive with your audience than if you were in live persona syndrome. So,
yeah,
is that true, and why is that the case?
Well, again, I've been doing a lot of teachings on this, and thanks. Last week's webinar was using facial expressions to sell on Zoom, right? And the one thing that we have to
something like that. Does that work?
Yeah, this works as soon as you see leaving room, boom, gone. But the idea of this, with selling and getting your message out, and delivering your message, I like to think of it that we're still people talking to people, and people connect with a smile. People connect with somebody paying attention to them, you raising their eyebrows a bit, actually nodding. It's one of the things that I like to say that, if someone says something that's a key point that you like, you can nod your head back, and I like that, and still use gestures, and right, and connect with people that way, because we're still talking to people. I had to adjust. I stamped my feet for the longest time. I did not want to do virtual presentations. I wanted no part of it until I had to adjust, change my paradigm about it, and discover how I can do it as me. Now, the reason I like being with people is I like people. I enjoy the camaraderie. I do miss it greatly, and I'm sure most people are using this virtual stuff but missing the camaraderie, because that's what comes with networking. But overall, you can still think of the person as sitting across from you. Like if I focus on you right now in the square that we're in, I can focus on you as just a person sitting across the table from me and talk to you with the same dynamics, the same thought process as if I was talking to you live. So sometimes we have to use our imagination, be a little creative.
I hear that. Now, you made a comment a few moments earlier, but you had to adjust from live to virtual. But yet, part of your dialogue we've had here, this is our 23rd session.
Wow.
And, it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Wow.
Or space out, either or. But you said you had to adjust, but what I'm hearing is you would want to adjust if the current environment is despite the moment, we still need to get ahead of the competition. We need to get
Yeah.
ourselves out there.
Yeah.
When does the had to become a want to? Does that ever happen philosophically? I don't mean to get too heavy loaded here in the head, but
No. Everybody loves 8 a.m. philosophical people, especially me. I'm so glad I joined my morning with Confucius. Good, there we go. The name of our show now will be Coffee with Confucius.
okay, let's go back to the ring on this one, folks.
So, Master, as we go along, your question was stamping my feet, not wanting to do it. You've got to understand, we build, some of us who are the more seasoned, as they say, professionals. I was doing it a certain way for 30 years. Mm-hmm. It's not unnatural to fight it, to feel like, oh my God, why do I have to do this? We've been doing, I hate to put it this way, but I'll say the young professionals or the kids, mm-hmm. They pretty much grew up with one of these things in their hand. You know what I mean? This is their communication. This is the way they communicate. And for me, it all of a sudden went against every grain of my body. I like I said, I like to communicate with people at their, at networking events, be with people. So the kids have an advantage because it's all they've ever done. So I had to adjust. So there was an adjustment period. I imagine I'm not the only one speaking like this, especially 30 years of being in business, going and doing live training, going to, corporate headquarters and doing trainings at the training room, meeting people on the way in, saying hello, meeting the people at the desk. There's a lot that goes with that.
Well, the reason I'm asking the question in large part, is the key of having to adjust. You made that comment earlier.
Yeah.
So we talk about being an introvert shy to being a confident extrovert confident speaker. There's an adjustment zone in there. So how did you transition your adjustment so that those of us who aren't easy flow into public speaking confidence, how did you adjust? What did you have to do to make that happen?
Well, that's a great question, and the answer could certainly fit into you had asked, how did you go from had to do it to want to do it? Mm-hmm. Well, that happens a lot in the corporate world where people are asked to give a presentation, the state of the company, the state of the department, how's the department going? So, being surprisingly enough, you're sitting in the meeting and you've never, ever had to give a presentation until the head of the department or your manager looks over and goes, hey, and what about you, Bill? How do you see things going? And you're like, oh my God, nobody ever asked me to answer a question before, right? So now you have to do it, right? You don't want to do it, but you have to do it. So my suggestion is to be prepared, get better at it. That way, when you have to do it, you'll be prepared. And sooner or later, the more you do this, you'll want to do it. There are many people who give presentations who don't want to, but they understand the power behind it. I can't state it enough. There is nothing better than standing out and delivering your message. It's the way to do business.
I hear that, but now I'm getting more confused again on
there you go.
Wording is some. No, it's not a natural thing for me here, folks.
Tommy confuses me. It's all my fault.
On the terminology used, the semantics, and I just made a note about somebody getting up and giving a delivery or presentation. Is that the same thing as public speaking, even though so you get up in a conference room, you get on a stage, and you deliver information. You may even present information, but is that the same thing as public speaking?
That's a public speaker, but when you have to give, you say it a lot about your vision of public speaker is somebody on stage, and I break it down to more. No, it's somebody who's speaking in public. Plain and simple, right? There's people who are speaking in public. It could be networking, and it could be your boss stopping you in the hallway and saying, hey, you got a minute? I want to know how things are going on the job. How's things with you? And they just want 2 minutes of you to say, hey, things have been good. The Nabisco account really came through nice, right? And they want you to articulate what's going on with the company. Right. So what are they really doing? They're looking at you as the messenger, and they're looking at your message to see how good it is. And it happens all the time. But when you're saying that, the only thing you have to look at is, hey, I have to get my message out to anyone who needs to hear it, right? Not anybody who wants to hear it. You got to be prepared that the people who need to hear it, supervisors, managers, CEOs, clients, prospects, right? People who need to hear it You have to be good at it more than worrying about the people who want to hear it. So you have to get good for the people who need what you have to say.
I hear that. Now,
Yep.
actually, our next topic may very well be. I understand. To me, that would be a presentation.
Yeah.
It's a report. It's an upgrade. It's a current status syndrome. But I would think, as a public speaker, you're not basically or simply. I hate the word simply. Only just informing. Maybe you're motivating. Maybe you're encouraging.
Yep.
Maybe you're
Yep.
expanding. And that
Yep.
to me is kind of to get the want syndrome. They may not know. I'm getting lost on the terminology, but
Yeah.
anyway, I'd like to do this. I'm going to circle this, folks, as our next
Yeah.
topic.
Well, Joe, going forward, I just thought of something that we haven't really touched much on.
Go ahead.
Very important part of not only public speaking, but communications. It's what we call impromptu speaking.
All right.
When someone throws you a question, can you gather your thoughts and deliver an answer?
Right.
So important to be trained in impromptu speaking as well. So that's a great topic that we can discuss a little further down the road.
Is it kind of like the stand-up comedians or something? Stand-up comedy where you get up there and you banter back. In fact, I've seen shows with comedians, maybe 3 or 4. You give one word, maybe like for the pianist, you give 2 or 3 notes.
Oh, that's
you give 1 or 2 words, and they do a whole thing out of those 1 or 2 words. Is that kind of that impromptu stuff?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not like pantomime. It's I forget what you call that, but we'll let it go for another day.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we'll
talk about it. We'll talk about impromptu speaking. You got me. I had no answer. All right.
Whoa, the guy sounds shocked. Anyway, folks, please leave your comments as a reminder. If any questions, and if also please share it with anybody else you'd like to. And we do look at the after or the replay versions. If you're looking at it more conveniently at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something, we would audit that and get back to you. Tommy, you want to take us home with a comment here or a thought?
Or a snide remark? All right.
Hey, whatever works.
I'll leave it with this. Thanks for joining me every week and, getting these little tidbits out. I truly believe that there's many, many golden nuggets in our content that we've discussed. Each week, there's at least one great nugget to take home. Right. So with that being said, check us out anywhere, wherever you're going to look, YouTube, any of our podcasts. We'd love to hear from you.
And thank you, Bob, for being one of several who have visited us this morning. It'll be this afternoon for a lot of people. And let's keep this going. And we're going to sign off now, folks.